Hello, friends. You might be shocked to see a new episode of This Whole Life pop up not 2 weeks, but only 1 week since our last episode with Monsignor James Shea. We are excited to begin a new approach to This Whole Life that'll let us offer a new episode every single Monday. Every other week, we'll still be dropping a full-length conversation, like usual, around the integration of authentic faith and mental health. But on the weeks in between, we'll be releasing a shorter Storytellers episode. Why? I am so glad you asked, my friend. On the practical side, there's so many times that Kenna and I are blessed to hear stories that our guests share with us off the mic, and we want to make those relevant, engaging stories available to you, our listeners. But on a deeper level, at the heart of any conversation around faith and mental health are stories. Stories of real people, real children of God, navigating a fallen world, making mistakes, and gaining wisdom. So these are chances to hear the stories of others to help connect your story to God's story of glory. So without further ado, here is This Whole Life's first Storytellers episode with Monsignor James Shea. Monsignor Shea, in preparation for the conversation that we had a bit ago about integration and the beauties that God has called us to in our human life, we came across a little line in your bio on the University of Mary website, and the line reads like this: Monsignor Shea stopped using email in 2013. Now, as a modern American, it feels like someone might just shrivel up and die if they don't have access to email, or at least that's the story that we're maybe told. So can you give us a little bit of background, Monsignor, about what went into that decision and how it has been for you since making that choice?
Yeah, I became president of the University of Mary in 2009, and I didn't know many of the things that I know now back then. And so, I set off trying to lead I think by and large, it's a good thing for a young man to be given a task far beyond his capacities, because it's so humbling. I mean, I was profoundly unqualified to be the president of anything, to be the president of the local Future Farmers of America, much less to be the president of the University of Mary. And so I was really unqualified, and I tried to make up for that by just working like crazy. And a lot of the work that's necessary is clerical work. It's correspondence, it's decision making, all of those things. And of course, American life, by and large, has gone on to this format of email, which is just. So I corresponded with email, but I just had an impossible time keeping up with it. And sometimes I'd have 300-400 unanswered emails. And I just felt like I was living under a constant cloud of failure. And then the other thing that happened is that I would too easily get pulled into conflicts or conversations at certain levels of the university that I had no business being a part of, or that it was super unhelpful to bring me into. You know what I mean? When conflict would escalate, somebody would just copy me, expecting me to take a side or whatever, when in fact I didn't know the background of what was happening and wasn't equipped or interested or appropriate for the mediation of that dispute. And so I found that this would always happen. But here is my largest grievance about email. I think it's an inequitable form of communication, because you can send me an email that takes you 3 seconds to compose, that takes me 4 hours to respond to. That's not true in a verbal conversation, either in person or on Zoom or by telephone. That's not true. And it's not true in written correspondence as much. You know what I mean? In other words, written correspondence allows me to determine the timing and the length of my response and how detailed it is or whatever. But email can really, it can get you. You can play get you with email. Also, the emotional depth or quality or cadence or whatever, there's something profoundly missing where you can't pick up on what a person even the best of writers will kind of mistone. And the best of readers, the most careful readers, will mistone. And lots of things get misunderstood. And then there's just the legal component that in the
Mm,
world in which I live, you can get sued really easily, and then
Mhm.
what you write on email is discoverable. And so
mm,
then all of a sudden it's being read out in court, and that liability wasn't worth it. So for all of those different reasons, I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to use email anymore. And we shut down my University of Mary email address. Now, not everybody, I don't suppose, can do that because I have great people who assist me along the way.
sure.
We do have like we have a teamwork platform that we work on, sort of a messaging service, which is just internal to my team, my president's council, the vice presidents
Sure.
of the university, and my office, and we're able to do quite a bit of work that way. So that allows me, and then I use Dropbox
Hmm.
with my assistant, who's able to triage things for me, and it's just been a lot healthier. I think that leadership. I'm sorry. I think that email is probably a reasonable tool for management, but and for collaboration in some respects, with all of the caveats I laid out earlier. I think it's
Right.
a terrible tool for leadership. I just don't
Mm.
I don't like it. And it tends itself, yeah, I can say much more about it, but I don't think I will. Instead, I'll tell you a story. Um,
Okay.
when COVID descended upon our campus, I did briefly go back on email in an emergency fashion
Mm,
because what happened is that we needed to quickly restructure the leadership of the university so that decisions could be made very quickly. And so then I took direct leadership over certain segments of the university that I had been somewhat removed from before, and then gave other areas to other people. And so that meant that I needed to get back into the thicket. And so briefly, I went back on email for a handful of months until things got stabilized. But that when I went back off of it, I was so relieved by that that I realized something. And so we came back to school in the fall of 2020 in person at the university. And we did a procession, a Eucharistic procession around campus, praying to Our Lady of Good Help that she would help us. Because I said, I don't want regular help, I want good help. I want, and so we did this procession around the perimeter of campus, and we set aside something like 52 rooms for quarantine and isolation on our campus. We never had a single outbreak the whole academic year. I think at its height, when things were white hot, we had 11 beds occupied. That didn't mean that our students weren't getting COVID-19, maybe off campus or whatever. Lots of things were happening. But we
sure.
didn't have a single outbreak like you heard about from other universities. So we got to the end of the year, and I made an announcement in late March. Our commencement was late April. So I made an announcement in late March, and I said, "Hey, everybody, listen to me. This is to all the employees of the university. We're going to get to commencement. We've been working like crazy. This has been 3 times as exhausting as a normal year to keep the university open and to serve our students well and to try and build a community. So here's what's going to happen. After commencement, I'm going to shut down the university for a whole week. It's going to be a paid vacation for everybody. We're going to
Mm.
turn off. We're going to put a friendly recording on the phone line, inviting people to call back, but it won't be routed to any of your voicemail. And I'm going to shut off our email. The university's email is going to be shut off. Anybody who
Mm,
sends an email during that week is going to get an automatic reply that says, "Thank you so much for writing to us. We had a heck of a year with COVID. We worked hard. And so everybody is at home now. Your email will be deleted, but we really ask you to get in touch with us next Monday when we're back in business. God bless you." And
Mm.
so I thought that that would be met by universal acclaim. It wasn't. We had we
mm,
had we had uh, we had regions. Let me say it wasn't universal, but we had large regions of white hot panic on our campus at
Mm.
the idea that people. And I had to call another meeting and say, "Hey, everybody, listen to me carefully. I want you to go home, eat your favorite food, and hug your children. Just go eat a tomato or a pizza or something, but you don't act like slaves. This is crazy." I'm going to turn off your email. You've made me more convicted. And I turned it off. And you know what? Nobody melted into a pool of butter. Everybody was just fine. The whole thing is a scam. So that's what I'll say.
Oh my goodness. What a great encouragement. So even if somebody doesn't have the means to totally divorce themselves from email, probably a really good examination of conscience. Is there a better way to communicate this? Is there a better means? How much is this thing controlling me instead of me controlling it? And maybe to move forward in a direction like that. I love that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Monsignor Shea. Appreciate your time again.
Thanks for the question.